the king of rock. There ain't none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Now we rock the party and come correct. All cuts are on time and rhymes connect. Got the right to vote and we'll elect. And other rappers can't stand us, but give us respect.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Platter Chatter, a critical music show that takes a look at music that's on the cutting edge of today's musical scene. Today's show, we're going to look at albums by The Cult, their new one called Sonic Temple.
And we're also going to be hearing from Jody Watley called Larger Than Life.
That's right, Melissa. And we're also finally going to hear from the new one by the Tom Tom Club called Boom Boom Cha-Boom Boom. I'm Scott Goldfine, music critic for Silent Radio.
And my name is Malissia Simpson, and we're your hosts for Platter Chatter.
That's right. Well, let's get right into The Cult.
All right.
This is their third album, this British band, which evolved from starting out with kind of a hard rock, new wave-ish type sound, heavy on the guitars, kind of a harder rocking in excess, worked its way on its last album 2 years ago called Electric, its first gold album, produced by Rick Rubin, who produced Run DMC, who opened our show musically. And that was very hard rocking and very stripped down, bare bones rock and roll like AC/DC. The new one is kind of a combination of their first two albums.
And this is called, the album is called Sonic Temple. We're going to be listening to a cut-off of it, and it's called Fire Woman. Check it out. Hi, you were listening to Fire Woman by The Cult. Excuse me. They came out, I think, Scott, in 1985.
Right.
And they've really, made a big splash in the last 3 or 4 years. This song is currently number 5 on the top pop chart.
Rock charts.
Rock charts, I'm sorry. Tell us a little more about them.
Well, as you say, this album is more textured than the last one. It's got a little more keyboard. It's a little more mainstream, and it exploded onto the Billboard chart actually in the top 40. And this looks to be definitely their first top 20, possibly a top 10, and definitely platinum. And we're going to listen to the second track. Did you want to interject something there?
No, I was just going to say that the next track is called Medicine Train, and you better catch it.
Back in studio right here at Platter Chatter, listening to the Cult's latest album called Sonic Temple. That track called Medicine Train, and that track is only available on the CD, not on the LP. And interestingly enough, it's one of my personal favorites. It's got that really blues boogie type riff to it. Just kind of moves right along.
What's the purpose of doing that, of putting a song on the CD that you can't fit on the album?
Well, it's twofold. I mean, first of all, you put more music on an album, the grooves have to be compressed and the sound isn't as good because this album runs close to 60 minutes. And the second thing is that CDs cost more, so they add an extra perk to buy the CD by including, a bonus track.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Kind of like the old thing of putting, a non-LP track on a B-side of a single, so you'll buy the single.
I see.
But at any rate, this album, I like their last album a little better because it was more just ruthless rocking, whereas this one is a little more mainstream. However, this album, I think, shows greater depth and maybe even a little more ambition than the last one.
Well, I like Firewoman. I think that's a pretty good rocking song, and I guess that's why it's zooming up the charts so fast.
Another interesting thing is two of the strongest tracks on the album run back to back. I know you like them. It's Soul Sister and Soul Asylum.
Exactly.
Kind of a theme thing. They run back to back, and they're also very strong. Look for those to chart.
Well, next we're going to be listening to Miss Jody Watley.
Are we going to rate the Colt?
Well, you want to rate him now?
Yeah, why don't we rate him?
We're going to rate the Colt. This album kind of reminds me of various other rock albums. Their fans love them, and it's shooting up the charts, but it just sounds like your standard, basic rock album. And I don't see that it's really outstanding. I'm going to give it a 2.
Melissa.
I can't help
How often
it.
do I utter those words? Woe is me. I give it a rating of 3 discs on our disc range system. If you're not familiar with it, I'm sure you're not. You're not too hip if you're not familiar with our system.
Here's our disc.
Yeah, invisible discs. 1 to 4 is the rating system, 4 being best, and I give it a 3. And the reason is because, although not quite as appealing to me as her last album, as I said, I think it is a little more ambitious, and it's got many strong tracks on there. These are 11 songs, and there's a lot to choose from there. And certainly, I think they are a bit above the general rock, population out there.
Well, maybe the general rock population that's come out in the last 5 years.
Well, yeah.
If you compare them to something 20 years ago, which maybe you shouldn't, I don't really think that they're that distinguishable.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to judge them against their contemporaries now, and I think that they stand slightly above their contemporaries.
All right, Scott, well, that's your opinion. We're going to go on to Jody Watley now. You will remember her from her first album called, appropriately enough, Jody Watley. Her big hit then was I'm Looking for a New Love. Well, now she's got a new album out called Larger Than Life, and we're going to listen to a cutoff of it called Real Love. This one is zooming up the charts, and why don't you listen to it and see what you think. Real Love, Jody Watley. Hello, we're back in the studio. You were just listening to Jody Watley and Real Love. I want to know one thing, Jody. Is that your real hair, or is it weaved? If it's weaved, it looks great. Tell me where you got it done.
All right, well, Jody Watley, produced by Andre Simone, formerly of Prince's Revolution, the bass player, his first bass player, and also a childhood friend of Prince's. And now he's gone the producer route. You know, he didn't have much success on his own, and he's certainly having success producing Jody Watley. They're also real tight friends, evidently. But the sound certainly emanates from the Minneapolis type of sound and the sound that Prince created. It's kind of standard dance type stuff. I mean, it's like Janet Jackson or Paula Abdul, or there's a whole slew of the stuff coming out now that's dance-oriented pop, perfect for Power 106 and things like that, and for dance clubs, but I don't really think it's all that special for listening to.
Well, I'm not going to agree with you or disagree with you right now. I'm going to check out her next cut, and we'll discuss it. It's called Lifestyles. You are listening to Jody Watley.
Back in studio listening to Jody Watley's new album called Larger Than Life. Jody, incidentally, won the Grammy the year before this one for Best New Artist. And that was really quite of a surprise to many people in the industry because, you know, certainly a lot of people don't think of, you know, especially critics, think of a dance artist as being worthy of getting an award such as that. But her first album was, I think, had a few songs that had stronger hooks, such as Looking for New Love, and some of the other hits that she had on that album. She actually had 3 top 10 pop hits on that album, and it went platinum.
Well, you know, I think her first album was kind of unique a little bit. But this album is, as you said, it's just, you know, standard fare. It's not anything spectacular. It's not anything really stupendous. I think Real Love is going to do very well for her. But
it's just not that memorable, you know. It's just kind of standard dance. There's plenty to choose from. There's almost 60 minutes of music on the LP, which is very generous and very nice. However, you know, so many of them just kind of blend into another. It's almost like not having that many tracks. The last one we listened to, Lifestyles, I think has one of the more provocative instrumentation tracks on the album. You know, kind of percolates along.
You think so, huh?
I know so.
Well,
I heard it.
I like Real Love, and there are a couple other songs on the album. I'm going to give this a 3, even though I don't think it's that memorable. It is danceable, and I do love to dance. I'm going to give it a 3.
All right. Well, Jody Watley's LP on our disc rating system, 1 to 4, 4 being best. I give it a 2. And her last album, I may have given a 3, because Looking for New Love, I think, was one of the finest dance songs of that year. It really
took off.
Yeah, it grooved. I mean, it had a great groove to it. Real Love is kind of a retread, and the rest of the album just isn't all that memorable. So, Jody, you look great, but you and Andre ought to get a little more serious, I think, in the music area.
Oh, my God. Well, we're going to now listen to someone that many of you are familiar with through another group. We're going to hear from a group called the Tom Tom Club. They are 2 people that are with a group called the Talking Heads. You will remember them. Tina Weymouth plays bass, and Chris Franz plays drums. We're going to listen to their album. It is called Boom Boom Chi Boom Boom, and the song off of it is called Wah Wah Dance. Wah Wah.
You blind, a heart and soul with a rockin'
listening to the Tom Tom Club. For those of you that just tuned in, the Tom Tom Club is composed of two members from a group called the Talking Heads. Scott.
That's right. They're a married couple, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
And a member of Talking Heads, who certainly are one of the most groundbreaking groups to come along from the late 70s into the 80s with David Byrne and company. When they step out on their own, they're a little more dance-oriented and not, nearly as creative, as it turns out. I mean, they just kind of, do these tunes are kind of a new wave, slightly new wave, a little funky, dance-oriented type material. That song that we just heard, Wah Wah Dance, I think is definitely, if not the strongest, one of the strongest tracks on the record.
I'm going to reserve my comment, and we're going to listen to another cut. It's called Sub-Oceana. This is the Tom Tom Club.
Back in studio with Platter Chatter, listening to our final clip on this evening's show, Sub-Oceana. That's a hard one to get out. By the Tom Tom Club. This track is picking up some alternative and progressive rock play action now. That seems to be the track of choice right now off the album. The Tom Tom Club, there's a few good dance songs, but overall I was disappointed in this album. It's their third album, but their first in many a moon. You'll remember their first hit around 1980 was Genius of Love, which was very catchy and a very big hit, and still today even is popular, in the clubs and stuff. But this album, there's no track like that on this album that's that memorable or hits home that well. This was released in Britain sometime before it was released here, and I think maybe the delay was because they weren't quite sure, if it was good enough for the States.
Well, personally, I think that maybe they ought to go back in the studio and take this album and either redo it again.
They did redo it somewhat. That they released the version in Britain, and then they came over here and they redid 4 tracks and put it on this record that aren't on the import.
This album sounds like maybe 10 other albums, none of whom I can name. It's basically all electronic. It's not, as you said, it's not memorable at all. And personally, I think they ought to just stick with the Talking Heads because the Talking Heads are great. And as a group, they're wonderful. David, Tina, save your marriage. Stay with the Talking Heads. I think you'll do much better. Or I'll go back in the studio and come up with something like Genius of Love because this, it may do well on the charts. I mean, people like strange things, but
it just sounds like a bunch of white people trying to be funky. Let's face it, it doesn't work.
Well, maybe that's what they're doing. On a scale of 1 to 4, I'm going to give this album a 1.
Wow, pretty severe, Melissa.
Well, I'm sure, but I can't, go against my own feeling.
Well, this album, Boom Boom Chi Boom Boom, that's probably the best thing is the title. I think I'm going to give it a rating of 2 discs, just because there's a few semi-catchy dance numbers on there, and I feel generous just because I like the Talking Heads, I guess. But even Jerry Harrison's solo album, which came out last year, called Casual Gods, he's their keyboard player from Talking Heads, had a few more catchy tunes than this one, although it also suffered from being mired in kind of this aimless, dance, music.
Sometimes I think some of these groups are trying too hard. I think what they're trying to do is get over on their own, which is fine. I mean, I give them credit for trying to branch out and not stay in one little hole. But I think in the process of them doing that, they get so wrapped up in the sound that they forget to kind of be creative, you know?
Well, the thing with them is that I think their musicianship is somewhat limited. I mean, they're not, you know, virtuosos on their instruments. And so in order to compensate that, you have to come up with extremely catchy grooves, right? Or great lyrics or something to compensate for that, and they just don't do it.
Well, if they're going to do that, then I think what they need to do is hire musicians. You know, I mean, if that's the case, if they're going to compensate, maybe that's what they ought to do. But I think they're sacrificing their art for, you know, I don't know what. Anyway.
All right, we're going to move on. We've got a few important topics to discuss today. First off is the new Batman film coming out beginning this summer, and its soundtrack features none other than
Prince.
That's right.
Batman.
Yeah, what do you think about that? How do you think it's going to turn out with Prince doing Batman music?
You know, I've been wondering about that ever since I first heard that the movie was coming out. Knowing Prince, of course I'm a good friend of his, knowing Prince, I think that it's going to be kind of trippy, you know? I'm sure that there will be some memorable songs that people will rush to the stores to buy and run out and dance to. But knowing how creative he is and seeing some of the things that he does, I'm sure that he's going to try to do music that's just going to blow everybody out, similar to what he did on Purple Rain.
Well, there's no telling really what's going to come out like. It's just really strange. I mean, it's as strange as the casting as Michael Keaton as Batman, I guess. But evidently this past weekend, Prince was playing in local Minneapolis clubs, testing out some of the songs he's thinking about putting on the record.
And how'd they go over?
Well, we don't know. Our next topic is the whole CD versus vinyl issue.
What's going to happen to all the records? I mean, are they going to become collector's items? All the LPs are disappearing. All the 45s are disappearing, and people are buying nothing but CDs. I don't understand that. What are you supposed to do now? You're going to throw out your stereo system and buy CDs, and that's it?
Well, that's what the record companies would like you to do, I think, because they're really prematurely phasing out vinyl, in my opinion. I mean, there's many mainstream record stores now where you can't even get vinyl anymore, and they're closing down plants. One of the largest facilities has just been closed down, one of the largest pressing plants. And I think they're jumping the gun because there's still a vinyl demand out there. The industry, because they make more money on CDs, and it's disgusting what they're doing, is they're just pushing the vinyl aside. And, you know, alternative record stores that carry vinyl are being swamped with people to get that vinyl.
Yeah, well, I think those of you that have old albums, hold on to them, don't give them away, because one day they'll be collector's items, and 20 years from now you'll have a nice little... The
packaging of LP, the CD packaging will never surpass the packaging of LPs. The lyric sheets are bigger, it's more tangible to feel. You know, it's just the timing. They always list the timing. Some of these CDs, the packages are incomplete. There's a lot of stuff on LP that's still not available on CD. Record buyers, don't buy at places that only carry CDs. Buy at places that carry all formats of music.
Please, please. You know, another interesting topic is a group called NWA.
Right. Can we say, I guess we can say their name on the air, can't we?
Well, go ahead.
NWA stands for Niggers with Attitude. And that's exactly what they are from Compton. They've been stirring up all kinds of controversy because of their, I guess you can call rap lyrics, their lyrics which are very profane, and they deal with drugs and gangs and really stir up a lot of controversy, but they've gone gold.
If their purpose in doing this is to get people to understand what it's like to be in a gang, that's one thing. But I can see that on the news when I see somebody covered up, you know, and I know they've been shot 10 times. But personally, I don't understand what the purpose of it is. Other than that, I think it's awful. I think if anything, it'll scare people. It'll do one of two things. It'll either scare people to death, or it'll make young kids think, hey, this is hot, you know, this is hip, and I can do this.
Well, their attitude is that they're reflecting the culture that they're brought up in. Their music is from the streets, and, you know, as much as the lyrics and listening to it is very unsettling, there's something about it, and I think it's just the energy level that they have. They've got a lot of energy in their music and their honesty, and the fact that You'll never hear that on radio, and that's kind of like outlaw music. It is appealing, but that's about as close as I want to get to gang life.
Amen.
Okay. Finally, I saw the Depeche Mode concert film last night. It's coming out. And I must say, for those of you who like Depeche Mode, you probably won't be disappointed. But for those of you who like good filmmaking, I don't think you'll be too thrilled. And also, people who aren't Depeche Mode fans aren't likely to become.
Yeah, but the ones that are, boy, they went off.
They're crazy. They have fanatical teenage girls mostly, and a lot of teenage guys too, but they are fanatical, like Beatles fans.
They were chasing them down the street.
They're crazy. They're crazy. Lastly, coming attractions on upcoming shows.
Next?
Huh?
Next?
What's coming up next?
Yeah.
Well, to tell you the truth, we don't know.
know.
We don't know because we're waiting to hear about the new summer releases. And I know what films are coming out, but don't yet know what music's coming out. So you're going to have to stay tuned and keep an eye to Public Access for Platter Chatter.
Send us a letter, pick up the phone, dial, call, anything. Just let us know that you're out there. Buy a stamp, stick it on a postcard, say, hi, my name is so-and-so, I watch your show. If that's all you do.
Let us know what kind of music you want to hear.
Yeah, we want to make you happy, okay? So we're going to blow out of here, and I'm going to toot-toot, pull the train whistle, and say, adios, amigos.
Bye.
Fat skinny man died of a big disease in a little name. By chance his girlfriend came across a needle and soon she did the same. At home there's 17-year-old boys and they're active fun. Being in a gang called the Disciples, high on crack, a total machine gun. Times hurricane out of it, the ceiling off a church and killed everyone inside. You turn on the telly and
should call me sire. To burn my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Now we rock the party and come correct. All cuts are on time and rhyme connect. Got the right to vote and we'll elect. And other rappers can't stand us, but give us respect.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Platter Chatter, the show that critiques and analyzes music that's on the cutting edge of today's scene. I'm Scott Goldfine, music critic for Silent Radio, Black Radio Exclusive, and Inside Video and Music.
And my name is Malissia Simpson, and it's nice to have you here on Platter Chatter. We have some very interesting guests for you today. We're going to be reviewing 3 brand new albums. One is Prince. We're going to take his new Bat Dance